not good.
Oh no.
Yeah.
We are now live.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Hello, people of the internet.
Are we on? Are we on?
Let's just have a little check. Let me just go onto your profile and
take a look.
No, according to me, no. Let me just have a little look again. Yes, we are.
Yeah, we are.
Oh,
we are. You just had to refresh.
Timothy, before you start and get all serious and get into agendas and things like that, how was your 2 weeks break? You know, international travel and all that?
Oh, it was lovely. Lovely.
Yeah.
This is a tan for me.
Yeah.
You look tan.
A bar tan.
So you were in Madeira.
I was, yes. Yeah.
And how was that?
Oh, it's fantastic. It's a paradise.
So as much as it is a paradise, was it all? Were you noticing it was all digital and was did you have to have mobile, or were they quite relaxed about things? Did you have to check in apps and restaurants and all of that, or was it okay?
No, because they're still fairly tight in terms of who they're letting in and the conditions of being let in. So you need to be double vaxxed and had a COVID test 72 hours beforehand. So
cool. Good to see you back.
Thank you. It's great to be back. Can I start now?
Yeah, you may.
Thank you. So today I am trialing out StreamYard as a change from the other people.
The other people.
Yeah. We have the only thing that we've got to talk about, from what I understand, is the Gartner. There was a Gartner webinar, which was about making your salespeople digital. And have we all watched this?
I've not.
I could have swore it was a DLA Ignite video or a webinar.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't going to say that.
Only the names would be changed to protect the innocent.
Thomas, there are now 3 black Suburbans heading for your office. With guys with little curly earpieces and dark suits on. You've said it now, you're in trouble.
The good news is you're not too near a major international airport, so it's going to take a little bit longer to get to Fargo.
You've got a little bit more time to escape.
There's an airport in Fargo. It's just going to be a few hours before a plane lands, but there is one.
So before we get into that discussion, let's introduce ourselves. Shall we, Mike? You're next on my clockwise. Do you want to introduce yourself?
I am Mike Garrison with Values-Based Mindset, and I like to integrate for effect on and offline social.
And the beard's coming on nicely.
Mountain biking season in the winter is serious business where I'm at, so I'm in pre-season form.
Right.
Can I get an amen, Eric?
Amen.
Thomas.
Good morning. I'm Thomas Ross, and I'm a founding partner of Social Selling HQ and a very happy and active partner of DLA Ignite globally.
Fantastic. And you've got your new headphones.
I do, and I'm still figuring them out, but they seem to be doing fine.
And Lenwood.
Hello, I'm Lenwood Ross. I'm the founder and CEO of Accelerate, and we're a DLA Ignite partner.
Adam.
Hi, I'm Adam Gray. I'm Tim's business partner and co-founder of DLA Ignite. So a proud DLA Ignitee.
and Eric.
Hi, I'm Adam Gray. I'm Tim's business partner, and I'm Eric from Crux. We are partners with DLA, and very happy to be so.
Good. So, any overall comments you have about the Gartner event? I need to go and find the name of it.
It was
Evolve selling skills to connect with today's buyers. Any overall comments?
What's not to like? It was a good piece of work, right? It was a good piece of work. It's something that we're all very familiar with, as Thomas has already pointed out. I like the way some of it was presented. I like particularly the piece that caught me around about 22 minutes. There's a piece about the CSOs needed to shift to human and digital, and I like the way they played that out. So there was an existing state, which is talking about that serial state of digital alongside human, and then integrating it all, the integrated customer engagement. And that piece is bringing the human and digital piece together, which I thought was fantastic. I thought it was a lovely way to describe it. I thought the graphic was good, and I thought the concept was good. I'm struggling to find where, in amongst all of this, where are the keys and the structure and the strategy to achieve this. But it's a nice thing to say. I think the difference between this approach is there's a lot of headlines. We would focus on what you need to do to actually achieve that integration, and we would put the foundations and the elements in place to help you bring that to fruition, rather than just saying this is what you need to do.
Yeah, we would link it directly to EBITDA.
Yeah, well, there is that.
They didn't give you the how, just the what to do, or what you should be thinking about.
Yeah,
which is the nature of that kind of thing. You know, there's some interesting headlines, and it shows a direction of travel and a vision. Yeah. But certainly in my experience of dealing with individuals and with companies, the problem is that taking the actionable, concrete things they can do from those abstract concepts is the challenge that they have. You know, you need to be more human online. Yeah, great. Everybody gets what that means, but very few people are able to execute that because there aren't a series of steps that people can understand, which are a simple series of yeses and nos. So, you know, it means that you don't say Mr. Hughes, you say Tim. It means that you smile when you speak, and all of those things, which are really simple. But certainly our experience of working with organizations is that those simple things that are very human, they fall away when people try to do something new, and they go back into their safe zone, which is being very corporate and being very, very bland and dull.
Yeah, they think that if they stand out, they'll actually get fired.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. No, that's okay.
Thomas,
I found that, you know, we as practitioners in the industry, and I use the word practitioners as opposed to consultants, but we as practitioners and facilitators in the business, we understood a lot of what the webinar said. It's funny because I actually had a couple of other people that I sent the link to, one of them on my team, in fact, and they didn't understand 90% of it, right? And I picked up on that a little bit as I was listening, because there were a lot of $50 words being used to describe things that we've talked about in everyday simple terms: human, social media, you know, these kinds of terms which were not used a lot. In fact, social media never came up once in the entire webinar. I don't know if anybody paid attention to that. So the word digital was peppered all the way through it, but it was never actually aligned with the reality of what it represents. So I think there were amazing points in there, but I think it takes our ability to actually put these action points into practice that makes the difference. And I also thought it was interesting that while they did really focus on the sellers, otherwise known as the sales team, and the buyers, they didn't focus very much on the people they were talking to with respect to their own understanding of the process they were putting forward, right? So most of the CSOs and the executive teams and the CEOs and whoever else was part and parcel of that really don't have a clue what digital is yet. And for me, that's the big difference with what we deliver, insofar as really getting them part of the process, not just implementing a process that they hope works. Does that make sense?
When you say they don't understand what digital is yet, I think that's a really interesting point, because I think there's a huge disparity between enterprise digital which is about an app, it's about a platform, it's about technology, and what we would consider to be this process of digitization, which is using those digital platforms to be more human. And I think that when organizations look at using digital platforms to be more human, what they actually mean is we're looking to use digital platforms as a way of shortcutting processes, and we are looking at it from a completely different direction. This is not about creating personas and understanding what I need to say to each of these personas at a different point to push them along my idea of what their buying journey is. This is about using these platforms to provide scale for the people that want to have conversations with other people, and a facility for that to happen. And I think that our focus, and it's interesting that I think you, Eric, said about digital and human coming together. And absolutely, we're on the human side of things, aren't we? And we just see social as an enabler for that.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I mean,
Totally.
if I was going to chime in, what I found most interesting, and just to confirm what Adam said, I think that their definition of digital is content related, not communication related. And so they're looking to provide things, and nothing I saw in the entire document was about what really works in sales, which is, can you get into an actual conversation with a buyer for anything other than what you get paid for? Like, do you have the ability to enter the top of the funnel? And when you think about like the problem of getting live communication versus asynchronous communication, like why in the world would a buyer want to talk to you if all you're going to talk about is a piece of content designed to get them to buy from you until they've decided they're ready to buy? And that's what I thought was the big weakness. They talk about deconstructing virtual customer engagement, and nothing in there is about connecting with people online socially on their content. Like, we know that because we do this, at the end of the day, content is a passive thing. You have to be active. You have to have a system that you're emotionally and logically engaged with, where you're actually going to speak to people.
Well, our methodology is not around content. It's around, or not around content for communication. It's around content for conversation.
Yes.
So me publishing something which is read by 1,000 people is of zero value. Me publishing something that stimulates a conversation is of some value, because for anybody that is engaged with a complex thing, either selling a complex product or selling a complex service or developing complex ideas, that you don't get an outcome from having a brochure being read by somebody. You get an outcome from having a conversation with somebody and seeing whether there's any synergy, and seeing whether you can work together, and seeing whether you have an offer for a solution to a problem that I think I have. And I think that many organizations just see this as a way of floating. They see modern channels as new advertising channels, don't they? I'll put my content out there and some people will engage.
Yeah, I mean, Kevin's comment there is spot on, which is, they think digital is an online process like offline process, messaging on digital platforms and email uses to effect and pressing a blue button to connect to the C-suite, instead of a strategy that we know works, speed versus trust.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I agree with you, Adam, which is that people see social as basically an advertising platform. I mean, what we're going to do is we're going to go onto there and we're going to say, buy my product because it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we all know how successful that is, don't we?
And then nothing happens.
I think so much of this relates actually to just legacy thinking and the development of, or I should say the integration of IT into the organization, because there's a lot of people who remember when the first computers hit the desks, right? There's actually still in the workforce, right? So they really see IT as functional, right? It's not, and they're not thinking about digital as really a new way of doing business. So there's no thinking about changes in how you engage with your customers, or changes. I mean, just there's a very big disconnect still in corporate America about the nature of, or really the difference between digital and IT, right?
digital and social.
Yeah, well, social is, it's just the form of digital. It's really just it's the digital way of a digital way of communicating and engaging. It's a digital technology that allows us to talk to people anywhere, anytime, from any location, right? And
Social media,
people don't see that.
Social media is digital, but social, the way we communicate effectively, has. Oh, here I go. Wow, nice. Sorry.
What?
Oh yeah, I'm back. So social's been around a lot longer than digital.
You mean human to human interaction?
Yeah,
is that what you mean
absolutely.
by social?
This is the big problem with Gartner seeing here, right? Is they don't understand that digital isn't social. Digital is a way to scale social, but the rules are the same, and they've always been the same. And that is the massive problem that Gartner has and that we don't. We start with social. It's human beings and valuing the human-to-human relationship and believing that through digital, we can leverage relationships and scale activity and compete at whatever scale you want to. And I think that's the biggest problem that this entire thing has is they talk about humanity and it's nowhere in here.
Well, let's pull that through for a second, because they've got a big chunk of this, around about the sort of 18 to 22 minute mark, is built around tech savvy sellers, right? And that lovely graphic where they've got the virtual selling competences that they've defined as digital dexterity, data literacy, and virtual customer engagement, right? So that's it. That's what you need for virtual selling competence.
They're the three key skills that they say that salespeople need to
Absolutely. So let's how have they broken that down? Digital dexterity, they're saying that's the ability, in the first place, the ability to work digitally. And then secondly, and I think this is quite cute, the ambition to work digitally.
Yeah.
There's the ability and the ambition too. That's quite clever when you think about it. That's a nice piece, the ambition to, because lots of people might have the ability to work digitally. Some people might not really want to. Some people will absolutely want to. Some people might have to be carried along, or as Maria Bolton would say from Gartner, those that don't want to come along or are going to hold you back, you need to open the door and make it nice and easy for them to say thanks, it's been a blast, and let them go. On the digital literacy side, they've split that down into two things even further. You need data understanding and data responsiveness. And then the last piece, in the virtual customer engagement piece, synchronous customer engagement and asynchronous, as Michael was saying, they've split that down into two. All seems very simple, right? 3 main headlines and six little subheaders that you need to be good at to be competent in virtual selling. That's it. Done deal.
I don't even know what that second thing is about. I don't know what is data literacy? So
I'm guessing. So there's the ability and the ambition to work.
Yeah.
The ability. So is that their little graphic is analyzing trends, and I'm guessing it's the ability to be literate in the idea of looking at digital data and assessing it and making assumptions and conclusions, right? That's what
they mean, like reading like stuff on the internet and thinking about it and then talking about it? I don't understand what that means.
I think that is an explicit sale to the chief technology officer.
Wow.
But let's go back to that communication thing, because that's the problem. If you have a broadcasting mindset, if you have an advertising mindset, you're going to be horrible at asynchronous communication. And if you take it back to like that R word, if you take it back to what we did before social media, if you wanted to scale your business as an individual salesperson, you had to get referrals. And the way that you got referrals was mastering asynchronous communication via the referral source. Right? Yeah. And so that's the thing that I think, if you really look at some of the things that we talk about all the time in-house, we talk about how do you effectively, in an online world, in an asynchronous manner, build a relationship. And you have to talk differently than if you're pitching. And I think that if you're a CEO or you're in a C-suite and you know that you get a significant amount of your business via relationship, maybe it's because you're best friends with another CEO in a similar vertical. Like, what you need to do when you're looking at this is what works when we're in front of our clients, right? What are the things that work when we're actually in front of clients, when we're in a good conversation, and how do we integrate that into online digital activity? And that's going to give you a hint about how to be effective asynchronously, because otherwise people are just going to ghost you or block you or unfollow you. Like, I think it's the biggest challenge. And Adam has talked about it. Like, your coaching piece this morning, Adam, where you're going through the fact that the reason that you guys embed coaching into our system is because people need to learn how to communicate in this new manner.
Well, I think there are so many inhibitors that stop companies being able to do this as we would see it being done perfectly. So Lenwood's comment about the difference between digital and IT is really important. You know, IT are an enabling function within a business. Their job is to make the systems operate in order that people don't have to focus on the systems, that they can focus on what the systems are there to do. But often I think the implementation of new technologies within companies are seen as the end rather than a means to an end. You know, this is like saying the office is a much better place if we have good cleaners in the office. Therefore, facilities management should be responsible for finding new offices and designing them because they're the ones that make it more comfortable. And actually, the two are related, but one does not really drive the other. And I think that you know, we've seen, without exception, the organizations that have embraced the whole concept of socializing their business and all the benefits that that brings, the organizations that have embraced that most completely, those organizations where we've had the conversation nearer to the top, where the leadership within the organization have understood the full enormity of this change and the full benefit that it can bring, and they have led by example. And the challenge is that when the leadership within an organization don't walk the walk as well as talk the talk, they say, okay, Eric, you need to write more content and publish it, and it needs to be really friendly and human content. Actually, you can't abdicate this. You know, you have to actually be doing it yourself. It's at its most powerful when everybody within the organization is in step with each other, behaving in the same way. That's not the same as sharing the same content, but behaving in the same way, being themselves, engaging their audiences, having those conversations, whether you're in sales or PR or dispatch or tech, it doesn't matter, because you have your own audience who's different from my audience, and sharing your journey, who you are, forging those relationships, what's great about where you work and what you do and why it matters in that informal way is where the true value of this comes. And that's more important at the top than it is at the bottom. But so often it's somebody else's job. And, you know, one of the challenges we see is that you have to understand, you know, this is what my role is in this. Not I'm going to be like everybody else. This is what my role is in this. This is what I have to do, not what we have to do or you have to do, but what I have to do. And it's only when that happens that we see the truly magical change, isn't it?
And just on that comment there about my content, Adam, I really am trying. I've just been really busy.
Hey, Eric, you ready? I think that automating content is flying a false flag, right?
You think that automating content is flying a false flag?
And so the big problem is
automating the production of content or the scheduling of content, or what?
Automating the creation of content, like having an outside source create your content, I think fundamentally is flying a false flag. And it's not immoral, right? The challenge is when that salesperson somehow miraculously gets to talk to the client, God help you if that prospective client is a socially empowered buyer and they start asking questions about your content. God help you. Right?
Well,
yeah.
Mike, I actually want to get more nuanced in that, okay? Because I actually think one of the things that the new marketing organization needs to do is to actually work with sellers on the production of content, so that salespeople don't necessarily have to be on Canva, for example, putting something together, but this salesperson is working with the marketing department and communicating with them about the types of content that they think will be successful with their audience.
But
so
that's collaborating. That's not automatically generating.
Yeah, that's not like marketing goes off and creates something first, and then just the salespeople become the distribution mechanism.
Yeah, I think that's crucial. But I do think that there are skills that sometimes you need. Maybe those skills are around video production or using Photoshop or whatever it might be. And maybe you haven't got the technical skills to be able to do that, but you have got the technical skills to be able to script whatever it is and star in that performance. And there's a real discrepancy here where it's like when I met my wife. Actually, I wanted to meet a girl, so I knew Thomas back in those days. So I got Thomas to go to loads of bars and chat to loads of women. And when the women showed an interest in Thomas, he would say, "Hold on, it's not actually me that's supposed to be here. It's supposed to be Adam. I'll give him a call in 10 minutes." And everybody laughs when you say that, because it's such a massive disconnect from honesty and authenticity.
That's what I'm saying.
We think in a sales environment, that's perfectly acceptable. I'll get Eric to write my content for me because he's a better writer than me. Well, that's just madness. That's utter. That is utter madness, though, to assume that that's what my audience want. I am the only thing that everyone in my audience has in common. Therefore, it's me that is on show. And Eric can write a better piece of content that uses better language and is better, more proofread and technically better. But actually, that's not what my audience are buying. They're buying me. And when salespeople grasp this, we see their success increase enormously when they realize that they're the USP. They're the thing that's up for grabs.
Did you see that video from Mr. Wonderful where he was talking about how people used to ask him, how do you get to be successful? And he goes, engineer, 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 engineer. That if you want to be guaranteed to be successful in a career, you become an engineer, right? He said, now it's not that. He goes, it's story. Can you tell a story? And he talked about how the liberal arts are coming back. And this is the thing, is the false flag, right, is really deceiving yourself, not the buyer. Because right? Because the reality is, if you want to be able to scale your income and your impact without ruining your life, you're going to need to develop skills in storytelling. You're going to need to, because stories scale. Like, what is some of the most popular stories that we know? They're not digital, right? The Iliad, my God, it was this huge book and they never wrote it for 100, 200 years. It was an oral book.
Jack and the Beanstalk the story is over 4,000 years old.
Yeah. And so
they were telling it at Stonehenge when they built it there.
And I just want to underline Adam's point, because if you get anything out of this and you're in the audience, whether you're live now or you're going to see a recording of this, you don't have a choice about whether or not to develop your skill at telling your story.
So Mike, I got spammed today by this guy.
No.
And he thought it was really funny that he was using automation. Anyway, he came back to me and he said, "I'm working an early stage startup. I unfortunately don't have the luxury of sweating over the details and need to move fast and execute things." What would you say to him?
Truthfully, or on this forum?
Truthfully.
I would say have carnal knowledge of yourself. So in his message, he said he doesn't sweat the details. I am not interested. You are a risk. Go die in a fire.
So I once got an automated spam bot contact me on behalf of some individual that was claiming to have seen my profile and really wanted to connect, and then we connected, and then I got the whole pitcheroo, of the whole thing. And I went back and I said, listen, that's not how we work here. I never connected with you to just be sold at. I wanted to try and get to know you a little bit better. And I got a message. I actually wrote a piece of content about it. This was last year. The message said, calm down, mate. Keep your hair on. I said, yeah, I know. How dare you? You really haven't looked at my profile, have you? I send thousands of these out a day through an automated spammer. I don't have time to connect with people individually and get to know them. If you
I
want,
don't have time to build any sort of relationship with you unless you're going to give me some money.
Unless
Then
you're going to
I've
give
got
me some
time.
cash. But
Yeah,
then he said,
how that?
this is factual. I will copy this. No one will believe this. I will block out his face because I kept this a screenshot. He said, the bottom line is, I'm here to make cash. If you want a friend, buy a dog.
Carnal knowledge of oneself.
But
that
was
the
last
problem.
year. He's moved on now. He's got a new job somewhere else for some reason.
He's the head of social selling for Gartner.
Hey, Eric, he's
That's
a social
terrible.
selling
They're
evangelist.
good people.
Suburbans outside.
He's an evangelist now.
But
He's
that's-
a social
that's-
selling evangelist.
Right. That's the problem. Is that and that's why buyers don't want to talk to sellers. Right there, because that person is just an object. They're just the person that the salesperson is using to get to the money.
So one of the things that Gartner say in that is that the buyer today is uncertain. They lack clarity, and they don't understand how much they don't understand the amount of change that buying something would take. And I'm not sure that necessarily the buyers are uncertain or the buyers lack clarity. I think what happens with the buyers is that they're fed up of people coming to them and pitching to them and trying to sell them shit they don't want.
Yeah, they don't trust it. They don't trust it.
Well, why
I mean,
should
how do you tell a salesperson's lying?
You know, and that's the disconnect, though, isn't it, guys? So this webinar is kind of like being given a manual to fly a plane. If you read this manual and you study everything and you do all of this, you can go fly that plane. That's kind of what this is like, right?
You might be able to get it in the air, but you can't land it.
I don't think you're getting it in the air, but nonetheless, the point I'm making is you guys are doing such a great job of showing the disconnect. The reality is that it's not about this magic word digital. It's about the magic word people. And it's about connecting with people using social, which is a methodology within digital, right?
So,
and it's about all those things. So
one of the things that Gartner talk about, and I actually think that this research is a couple of years old, though it doesn't really matter. I think it's still applicable today, is that in terms of the time that a buyer spends with a seller, it's only 17% of the time.
At best.
At best. So,
7% of what time?
So if you're on a short list of 3, 4, 5, that 17% is even smaller because they're actually only spending that 17% of the time with the short list of 2, 3, or 4 or 5. So your time frame as a seller to actually go to the buyer and actually convince them that you have the right solution for them, it is getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller.
Yeah, well, and deservedly so, because here's the reality. When the only thing you can talk about is your commission check, you have no value whatsoever. Like we called it commission, Brett, back in the copier sales days, right? And so here's the thing that is true that Gartner and nobody else wants to talk about. If you don't have the capability of interacting with your target market, you should know who the hell they are, by the way. If you don't have the ability of interacting with them in a welcome sense for things you don't get paid for, you suck and you have no chance, right? Because you're just a commodity. You're that person that is there to basically verify the exceptional salesperson, the exceptional organization that's been dictating the buyer's journey because they're personally connected.
Time out, Michael. How many coffees you had today?
A lot. But does that make sense? What I'm saying is like the real magic, which I think is what we all believe in and what we're so passionate about for our clients, is to take you out of that box, that prison of commoditization, and teach you how to connect personally with the people that you need to have personal credibility with, so that you can make basically all those people, Tim, in that 17%, when I'm doing my job right, they are basically verifying that I am already the vendor of choice.
Yeah.
Do you ever get just following up on the if you want a friend, go buy yourself a dog. You ever get to the point where you make a connection with someone and you feel it driving the pen just straight into your temple, just pushing it straight in. I put out a post a little while ago that was just a little commentary on modern commercial existence. We used to say people buy from people. Today we say people buy from people that they know from their trusted networks. Just a simple little text post that I put out. Someone responded who was a sales leader in a fast-moving industry. I totally disagree with this, Eric. I've been buying from Amazon for years, and I've never felt the need to build a relationship with the person who puts my stuff in the little brown boxes.
No, and
That's a guy who has totally misunderstood what Jeff Bezos has been doing for the last 20 years. That guy has a fundamental lack of understanding.
Yeah, when you're buying a new mouse mat, clearly that's something that you do a massive amount of research and kind of risk analysis on, and you need to forge some kind of relationship with the seller. So this guy, obviously, he's got his finger on the pulse.
Big time.
I mean, that's the most ignorant comment. I mean, you deserve a prize for flagging that, Eric. It's the most ignorant comment that I've heard for a long time.
There is the other guy that works for the social media company that said that on one of your polls that social media wasn't relevant today.
Yes, one of the senior sales people. That was interesting, wasn't it? Yes, it has little or no impact on my my job.
But we're not going to say the name of that company. So here's what I love about social media, though, that referrals. We used to talk about the rule of 200. Like if you do referrals well, you'll get some business. If you do it bad, you'll get no business. Well, here's the beauty of social media, Eric. Right? These like mouth breathing marginal human beings, like will now provide eternal evidence of their ignorance, arrogance, and just general lack of value. And I for one, am glad for it.
Thank you, Michael. Tim, I don't know if you'd like to move on, but I spotted something on digital this week, or it's very much related to the whole Gartner piece and what we've been talking about. Is that okay?
I was actually just checking a button down here in whether there was in StreamYard, whether there was a button down with Mike that you could deactivate the coffee.
Lower the caffeine.
Exactly.
He's in rare form, that's for sure.
But there is an ability for me to
eject,
edit the name. So I was just going to put the coffee man or something.
Coffee guy, caffeine,
yeah.
The caffeine sheriff. A beautiful little piece. Many of you will have noticed it. It was actually brought to my attention, and I think to all of our attention, by our colleague, the excellent Kevin Milne, who I think is listening in the chat.
Give us a shout, Kevin, if you're listening.
Give us a shout, Kevin, if you're still there. If you're still there. So Kevin actually loved this because this played very much.
Odessa, yeah.
Thought you were looking for the ejector seat. This plays very much into some of Kevin's highest values on social. So this is a piece written as a guest post and author on Chronicle, and it was the brilliant Mark Shaffer who wrote a piece of content, wrote a blog, and the blog's titled, I'm just going to read the top section out if you could humor me for a sec, because I think this speaks very much to my heart and to our overall mission in life.
I love that.
The piece is titled 5 Reasons Content Marketing Success Requires a First-to-Market Strategy. And we can put the link in the comments here. So the following is a special guest post from the author and content marketing expert, Mark Shaffer. So just humor me, if you will. I'm going to read this verbatim. I've spent the bulk of my life, my consulting career, helping businesses answer one compelling question. How can we stand out in a noisy world? Mark writes. The answer is complex and ever-changing. But one way that you can surely help yourself is by focusing on fresh, cutting-edge topics. A first-to-market content strategy In 5 lively sections, I'll explain the straightforward business case for this imperative. And he gives 5 examples. Thank you, Kevin, for this. This is brilliant. The impact on social sharing. Number 2, establishing authority. Number 3, relationship with engagement. This number 4 is like a power blow to the solar plexus. Resonance versus SEO. Resonance versus SEO. And number 5, audience attraction and retention. There's a brilliant story that he goes on to tell about having a seafood dinner with one of his clients and how a story came about. But he talks about the fact that he said most of the best guru advice in the content marketing world today is based on the creation of a ton of epic content. But here's an insider secret. He says the value of content marketing does not come from content itself. It comes from the transmission of content. The transmission of content. The economic value of content that is not seen and shared is 0. And then he goes on to talk about how he came to work with a client that was nowhere within his network, nowhere within his sphere of influence, nowhere even on his radar. And when he was sitting down having this seafood dinner with them to celebrate their contract signing, he said, "How did you find me?" And his content was transmitted to them via network after network after network after network. So the value of that content, the economic value of content that is not seen and shared is 0, is an incredible concept, right? And I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's a lovely piece. It's actually quite long, but there's lots of gems in there from Mark Shaffer about the 5 reasons content marketing success requires a first to market strategy. And that first to market equals getting that content out and under the noses of people that can really make a difference.
When you say first to market, what do you mean?
So that whole idea of being, we talk about the fact that social selling done well will reduce your sales cycles times by an inordinate amount. In some cases, 30, 40, 50%, right? Yeah. So that first to market, Eric, can you link that? Yes, I can. I probably will be able to. Maybe we'll put it in the chat afterwards if possible. So that first to market piece. So we know that how many times I remember sitting as the MD of a small service company and sitting there going, guys, I've just had as a big project come on the market. I just heard, I was in a coffee shop with a friend of mine. The tender's closed on that one, Eric. We missed it. What do you mean we missed it? That's a massive project for us. It's complete sweet spot territory. How did we miss it? It just passed us by. By the time we got to know about it, the deal was done. It was closed. Tenders were out. Proposals were done. We weren't even last to market. We missed it
at the party. Yeah.
We weren't even at the party. We weren't even considered. We knew nothing about it. So that first to market piece, being aware of the opportunities that are available to you in a particular vertical, in a section of target accounts, being aware of them and being first to the table about them, that whole first to market piece. Mike's doing it through the medium of dance.
Is that
through the medium of expressing it through the medium of dance? Contemporary.
Put your hat on, Mike, because it's a bit YMCA going on, isn't it?
So Eric's had someone who does laughter yoga. Is that like social selling yoga or something?
I think it was. Yeah, I think it was. Absolutely. It was like a voguing.
But Eric, you're making an amazing point. And Tim Hughes does this better than almost anyone I've ever seen. Which is really taking something that maybe your prospect or a client or someone is saying and turning it and flipping it into content in a matter of moments. I don't know sometimes how he does it so fast, but
65 staff in a floor underneath that room.
It goes in the chute down to the content production room and then comes back. But it speaks to something that you see all the time, right? On social media, which is this idea of thought leadership. And everybody likes to say that they're a thought leader, but really being a thought leader means actually thinking about the problems that your customers are having and talking about solutions, in real time on social media, engaging in conversations with those customers about the challenges that they're having and the solutions that may be available to them. Like that. That's real thought. Thought leadership is not saying I'm a thought leader in your headline. It's actually engaging in battle. It's actually being out there, having the conversations with your customers, talking to them about their challenges, and expressing, the solutions in real time.
Yeah,
It's
totally.
fulfilled the
Totally.
dream.
We used to use the term. Oh, sorry.
Eric said, no, I was just going to say, one of the things that you said was that it's the difference between producing, it's not the creation of content, it's the transmission of content. And Gary Vee said, content is king, but context is God.
Yes.
And I love that, because at the end of the day, you can write the best content in the world, but if no one ever reads your content, so and social is the great platform for creating the opportunity for people to trust you and want to read your content. And building that distribution mechanism is what we all spend so long trying to do. So people do engage with our content. They do therefore spread it out to their networks, which is exactly how Mark won this piece of business, because somebody that he was engaged with had reshared or commented on his content, and someone else had seen it and they'd reshared it, and so it had spread to this prospect who became a client.
Absolutely. So Mark's dissection of all of that and what it means goes into much greater detail, and I think the wonders of science here. I might actually be able to put the little link in here. Boom. There we go. There's the link. No, is that a private chat?
That's the private
chat.
And maybe I'm not able to then. Well, I'll definitely put it in the. The comments. In fact, I know how to do that. I'm gonna.
I just did it.
You guys carry on. Oh, you did it.
I did it.
Then we've done it.
You're so cool. So cool. You're so cool.
You know, at the end of the day, guys, I think that, and I keep bringing it back to this, but because I want to differentiate. So the Gartner exercise, whether it's this webinar or any of the other 1,800 that they've put out, the difference between this conversation is the difference between the actual retention and use of skills, talent, digital and technical, and the yakking about it, right? With $50 words. So it's really, we are actually putting these things in place and making them work, right? As opposed to yakking about them with words that are designed to confuse rather than explain, so that we can actually make these things come to fulfillment, right? And I think that's the big thing that you want to be able to take away from that, you know. And I don't want to pick on names because it really doesn't matter, but you can look at all sorts of sales platforms and technologies, from Sales Navigator to all the rest of them, and they get bought, they get put in place, but they do not get used. Right, and all of us have example after example. It could be a CRM. It doesn't matter what it is, because nobody knows how to use it, because they're not using a process yet that works in the first place. And what we're all talking about here today is the actual process, right, that makes it work, and not the tool that you're going to bring to the table to automate that process. And that's the difference. So yes, Gartner makes a lot of great points. But they're useless points if you don't know how to implement them.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a fantastic point. Just closing off the Shaffer piece. This is his words. My content was not at the top of an SEO stack for personal branding. I'm certainly not going to make the Alexa hit parade, but a person who hired me for this important work chose me because there was an emotional connection that resonated with him or her on a personal level and professional level. I won the business in Seattle against all SEO odds because I ignored SEO. I wrote for my readers. If I do that well and consistently, I'll earn subscribers. I'm not creating content to trick you into clicking a link. I'm creating content that consistently connects with your hopes and dreams as a business. And I'm building long-term connection through fresh and timely content that resonates with you. I mean, that's
I love that, man. That gave me the tingles. Woo, that was awesome.
So there's a reason my company's called Values-Based Mindset, and it's the reason I'm with DLA, because at the end of the day, it's all about connecting people personally to business. You know, and that's the real problem, Thomas, that they can't address on these webinars, but we get to because we're practitioners, right? And it's like information is like a piece of content. Until you connect the human being to it emotionally and logically, until you can show them how it's not just an assembly line where they're just a robot. Until you can connect the team to these things, it's not valuable. And I think that's to Thomas's point. I think that's really to Mark's point. It's, do you understand this at a deep enough level as a leader to be able to really connect your team to what has to happen in the future? And that's where you need help. You don't need a webinar. You need a caring human person that understands this, has been down that road like all of us have. And there's other people that we know of, that's actually going to get out there and show you how it's done, be there for you when you need it, because that webinar is not going to help you when none of your salespeople know how to do it.
Thanks, Mike.
Good. Hard to follow that one, isn't it?
That was Mike's. That feedback was Mike's hard drive rebooting the personal hard drive.
Hey, look, I was just preempting because we know Thomas is going to drop something. Like, we're getting in that last.
Come on, Thomas. It's the last 10 minutes. It's yours.
Don't do it.
I spoke too soon. I think that's what I did.
That's what I thought. You did.
I got to time that out better.
You went crazy at 9:30. I was like, Thomas, man, like what happened?
Yeah.
Usually you hold that.
Dropping mic bombs.
But all that said, there were some really good takeaways from that, and they're takeaways that we've been giving away for a long time, of course. But nonetheless, they're good takeaways. I think the key thing that that I took away from that was really giving the credibility of what we've been saying for a long time to those that are going to be hearing that for the second and third time, right? Because when you hear this for the first time, it just goes over your head. When you hear it for the second and third time, hopefully it starts to penetrate. And when they're reading our content and they're engaging with people who they trust and who they know are credible, it actually starts to resonate, and then they reread it, and then they go back, and the next thing you know, like Mark so profoundly put in words there, they reach out to you because now they trust you, they engage with you, and they want to ask you questions. And we all experience that every day, but there was nothing in that webinar that talked about that process, and that's what's missing. It's the human element. It's the actual touching somebody so that they feel like, wow, this is a person that can really help us. We need to talk to them, right? And that's the powerful thing about what's happened with digital is brands, the big brands have kind of fallen away to us as people, right? Because they're less interested in the brand and they're much more interested in all of us, hopefully.
Hey, Mark says in here, how can we stand out in this noisy world? And I think he really highlights the fact that if you are just producing content, but you're not making sure that it's getting transmitted to your audience, you're actually just in the audience. That's why it's noisy, because everybody's in the audience. How do you get on stage? If you're in the C-suite, if you're a leader or an individual practitioner, the real question is how can you be welcomed on stage where the audience is your target market, as opposed to having the target market on stage and you're in the audience with all the other people trying to get their money.
That's a great point, Mike.
Mark Shaffer.
Yeah.
Not my point.
Anything else?
Are we done with our main order of business, or are we get more to?
No, we're done. Yeah, we're done, Eric. Yeah.
I just wanted to say I've got lots of friends in New York and Louisiana. I just wanted to say that our thoughts are with everyone that's struggling with dramas in New Orleans and New York. I mean, Lenwood, you're probably closest to what is happening in New York.
Well, I was in it. I am in it. I was telling Tim that my side yard turned into a river basically
Oh man.
yesterday, because I live at sort of the base of a mountain, and actually not too far from us there was a rock slide.
Yeah, I saw that on Instagram. You shared that on Instagram.
Yeah,
Which fell down.
Yeah, I mean, anyway, it's. I've never seen anything like it. Never seen anything like it within, moments. I didn't realize. I've actually just been reflecting on it because I went through it, where I went out into the storm, and the water was rising, and I mean, it's just. I mean, I just can't. It's hard to describe how in just a matter of minutes you can have water that you're standing in to water that is waist deep. And like my wife said, this wasn't like, in a pool. This was like in a wide open space. That this happened, and my daughters were scared that I was going to drown. That's how much water there was in such a very short period of time.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really crazy. But where we are isn't even the worst of it.
Well, that picture of the subway in New York City with the water just gushing.
Oh
out.
man.
Yeah.
And those people. I mean, I spent a lot of time in New Orleans when I was back in the drilling business, and seeing what they went through and the fact that they're nowhere near over or even back to where, getting standing on their feet and then to be hit again. It's just like, where do you start? It's just incredible. Right?
Yeah.
In the middle of the COVID outbreak too. So like you've got hospitals that are maxed out, no matter what you believe, the hospitals are maxed out. Now you have power issues. How do you transport people that are ill? I mean, it's a nightmare.
Yeah, and these are happening so frequently. I mean, we've only been in this house for 3 years, and we've had this kind of not to this level, but similar event. This is the third one. Twice we've already had one. We had one earlier in the summer, in this same little area. And I tell people that our infrastructure in this country, I don't know if it is in any other country, is not built to handle this amount of water in such a short period of time.
Yeah.
The statistic I heard about the Raritan River, which is not too far from here, is that on, I guess it was Wednesday afternoon, it was at 4 feet. By the time it crested yesterday, it was at 27 feet.
Wow. That's crazy. One more thing I'd like to just, since we're doing, I would like to just say Brandon Lee, a personal friend of mine, and another DLA partner, is struggling right now. He's having a hard time with COVID, and so if you're among the praying set, or even just contemplative, it would be really great if you throw something up for him, and also encourage him.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Linwood, I want to see that. What's your Instagram?
Yeah.
Oh, Lynn Rossi, LENROSSI.
If you're cool, you already have it.
Yeah, you can. I should do more with my Instagram.
Yeah, but you could if you maybe. It's private. It's locked.
Yeah.
Who are you?
Private?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know anything about it. I'll have to.
I mean,
well, you can say it's you because it's your photo. I mean,
had to request
that's you, isn't it?
Requested.
Yeah, we've all just done that.
I don't think we're getting in.
Cool. Like, because I was already friends.
You guys will.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have anything. Nothing's coming through, guys. The technology.
Technology.
It's digital, Lemmer. That's the problem, mate. You need human.
That is the problem.
I don't know. I'm not seeing your. I'm not seeing your request.
I don't know if you know they've got a new album out.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, big time. Is it out? The album?
No, not for
I
another.
saw the launch piece, but I didn't know if it was out or not. So that's cool.
There you go. I've switched it to public, so you can.
Ooh. Iron Maiden has a new single out.
Yeah, Iron Maiden's got a new album out today. It's
beautiful, intelligent metal. I love it.
Holy moly! The rock slide.
Everybody's busy working on their
Can you see it?
Instagram.
Isn't that rock slide crazy, Eric?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I thought you meant like a little rockery had moved down onto the road, but that's
Oh
like
no! And
a side of a hill.
That's about 6 stories high.
Wow.
Mm.
That just
Crikey.
and those cars there are just lifted up. That's right. That's remember I said I live on this hill. That's just a little bit farther up the hill around the corner from my house.
Too bad you're not up above that.
Yeah. Well, it's a beautiful area. There's a ridge, just a mountain ridge just outside of New York City, and there are all these towns that goes from north to south that are along that ridge. So the people on this ridge, not me, but like the really wealthy people,
Right.
they have houses that overlook New York City.
Crikey,
So
yeah.
a lot of the Millburn, Short Hills, those are really expensive areas. Montclair, we're
Soon,
all on
soon,
this ridge.
soon,
Hmm?
soon.
I'm totally content where I am.
Hey, Eric and Adam, get on your bikes this weekend.
Yeah, I think it's on the cards. I'm doing a little challenge for myself this month. I'm doing a 3-kilometer run every day for the month.
Do you run then, Eric?
I've run a bit in my time. Yeah,
He's like an extreme. He's just an extreme sports.
He's done the odd 5K.
I once ran with Jim Kerr from Simple Minds.
Like, did you run it in a
From
desert?
what?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. But I'm over that now. That was a long time ago. Long time ago. So yeah, I'm just doing a little thing, Brad. 3K a day to get my legs back into it. Hoping by the end of the month that I'm able to maybe consider some endurance events now that things are opening up a little.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well,
But now
you guys
at this point today, I feel as if I've been run over by a truck twice.
But Eric, not only is he extreme sports, it's also extreme social. So if you work, if you go with Eric, it's just extreme.
It's extreme. It's intense. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So Mike's just downed his coffee.
Yeah,
Let's
I think
go.
we need it.
Let's get out of here.
So I think we probably need to go.
I can hear a loud ticking. Oh my goodness.
veteran-owned coffee company.
Nice.
Excellent.
Have a great weekend, everybody.
Yeah, we have a holiday weekend here in the U.S., so
Enjoy it as much
I'll
as
see
you
you
can.
guys Tuesday.
Yeah. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye bye.
bye-bye.